Have you ever wondered if we're just doomed to repeat the past? It's a common saying that history repeats itself. But the real question is, are we listening to what it's trying to teach us? Today, we're going on a journey through time to uncover 10 profound lessons the world has learned from its own dramatic story. These aren't just dusty old facts, they're blueprints for a better future. So, grab a seat, and let's dive into the powerful wisdom of history. Our first and perhaps most brutal lesson is that conflict teaches the true cost of war. Think about the First and Second World Wars. These weren't just battles fought on some distant field. They were global infernos that consumed continents, erased entire generations, and left scars that are still visible today. The sheer devastation, cities turned to rubble, millions of lives lost, economies shattered was a wake-up call for humanity. The lesson was written in blood. Diplomacy and dialogue are not signs of weakness. They are the most powerful tools we have to save lives, preserve resources, and build a world where our children don't have to face the horrors their grandparents did. Every peace treaty, every diplomatic channel, is a testament to this hard-learned truth. Next up, innovation shapes civilization. History is a story of constant change, and technology is often the engine driving it. Take the Industrial Revolution. It didn't just give us steam engines and factories. It completely rewired society. People moved from farms to cities. The concept of work changed forever, and new social classes emerged. This revolution brought incredible progress and wealth, but it also created new problems like pollution, urban poverty, and brutal working conditions. The lesson here is a double-edged sword. Technology can empower us to achieve incredible things, but it can also disrupt our world in ways we can't always predict. From the printing press to the internet, every major innovation forces us to adapt and decide what kind of future we want to build with these powerful new tools. Now for a lesson that echoes through the halls of fallen empires. Power corrupts without accountability. Look at the Roman Empire, at its 8. It was an unparalleled superpower, a marvel of engineering, law, and military might. But what brought it down? It wasn't just invading armies. It was a slow decay from within: corruption, political infighting, and leaders who put their own greed above the good of the people. The lesson is crystal clear. No matter how powerful a leader or a government becomes, they need checks and balances. They need a system that holds them accountable, and more importantly, they need a strong ethical compass. When leaders forget they serve the people, the foundations of even the greatest civilizations begin to crack. This brings us to our fourth point. Freedom is hard-won. We often take our rights and liberties for granted, but history shows us they were never given freely. They were fought for, bled for, and died for. The American and French revolutions are prime examples. People rose up against tyranny, demanding to be citizens, not subjects. They declared that individuals have inherent rights that no monarch or government can take away. The lesson is that civil liberties are not a permanent gift. They are a responsibility. They require constant effort and vigilance to protect. Every generation has to be willing to stand up for freedom, to question authority, and to ensure that the sacrifices of the past were not in vain. Lesson number 5 is a deeply important one. Tolerance prevents tragedy. For centuries, Europe was torn apart by brutal religious wars. Brother fought against brother over differences in belief, leading to unimaginable suffering and destruction. Contrast that with many modern multicultural societies, where people from different backgrounds, faiths, and cultures live together in relative peace. It's not always perfect, but we've learned a vital lesson. Diversity isn't a threat. It's a source of strength. When we embrace inclusion and learn to respect our differences, we build stronger, more vibrant, and more resilient communities. The tragedies of the past show us that intolerance only ever leads to more pain. Speaking of resilience, our 6th lesson is that it truly matters. History is filled with stories of incredible devastation, but it's also filled with stories of equally incredible recovery. Consider Japan after World War II. Its cities were flattened, its economy was in ruins, and its spirit was broken. Yet, within a few decades, Japan had rebuilt itself into a global economic powerhouse. This story, and many others like it, teaches us that human beings have a remarkable capacity to endure, to rebuild, and to create a new future, even from the ashes of the old one. Recovery is possible, hope is a powerful force, and the human spirit is tougher than we often give it credit for. Our seventh lesson is that the fight for equality is a continuous struggle. Justice is not a destination we arrive at, it's a path we must constantly walk. Think of the civil rights movement in the United States, or the long, arduous fight for women's suffrage around the world. These weren't single events. They were long, difficult campaigns, waged by countless brave individuals who refused to accept an unjust status quo. They faced immense opposition, but they persevered. The lesson here is that equality doesn't happen by accident. It must be actively pursued and defended in every generation. The work is never truly done, and we all have a role to play in pushing for a more just and equitable world. Lesson 8 is a humbling one. Empires rise and fall, from the vast Mongol Empire that stretched across Asia to the Ottoman Empire that ruled for centuries, and the British Empire on which the sun ever since history shows us that no power lasts forever. What causes their decline? It's often a mix of things. Overextension, internal decay, failure to adapt to new challenges, or simply being replaced by a new rising power. The ultimate lesson is about humility and adaptability. Lasting success isn't about being the strongest, but about being able to change and reform. Ignoring the need for change is a surefire recipe for decline, a lesson that countries and even companies today would do well to remember. Next, we look at a force that has shaped our story from the very beginning. The environment. We often think of history in terms of kings and battles, but the natural world has always been a major character in the human drama. Just look at the Mayan civilization. They built incredible cities and had advanced knowledge of astronomy, but they were ultimately crippled by prolonged periods of drought. Famines, plagues, and climate shifts have toppled dynasties and forced mass migrations throughout history. The lesson is stark and more relevant today than ever. Our survival is fundamentally linked to the health of our planet. Respect for nature isn't just a nice idea. It's a precondition for our long-term existence. Finally, we come back to where we started, with the most important lesson of all. History repeats itself. If we ignore it, this isn't just a cliché. It's a warning. Look at the patterns of economic crises, like the speculative bubbles that led to the Great Crash of 1929 and the financial collapse of 2008. Look at how failed peace treaties, or the unjust treatment of defeated nations, have sown the seeds for future wars. The past is a vast library of case studies, showing us what works and what leads to disaster. The ultimate lesson is that we must be active students of history. By understanding the mistakes of the past, we give ourselves the best chance to avoid repeating them. So, from the battlefields of world wars, to the hulls of fallen empires, from the spark of revolution, to the quiet power of resilience, history offers us a treasure trove of wisdom. It teaches us to seek peace, to manage innovation wisely, to demand accountability, and to cherish freedom. It reminds us to be tolerant, resilient, and to never stop fighting for equality. It humbles us by showing that no power is permanent and that we are all dependent on our planet. And above all, it urges us to learn from its pages so we don't have to relive its darkest chapters. The story of humanity is still being written, and we are the authors of the next chapter. Let's use these lessons to write a good one. Thank you so much for joining me on this journey through history's greatest lessons. If you found this insightful, please hit that like button and subscribe for more content that makes you think. What's a history lesson you think is most important? Let me know in the comments below. See you next time.